Welcome to the Daily Coffee Pro, friends. It's great to be with you. Today, we're going to be talking about one of my favorite subjects, branding, and in particular, developing brand awareness on a budget. So, those of you who know my brand, Elixir of Specialty Coffee, you could check it out on Instagram at Elixir of Specialty Coffee, ELIXIR Specialty Coffee. You will know that branding is a huge part of Elixir for a number of reasons. And I'm not sure whether you'll be surprised to know or not, but Elixir, we spent $0 on the branding. I came up with the logo myself. I came up with the shape of the progression of the different bottles that we had myself. I knew immediately when the product was born. I knew exactly what the feeling was around the brand. I knew what the brand story was. I knew how I wanted to tell the story, what I wanted to tell as a part of that story. And I knew who the drinkers of Elixir were, sort of. That in particular needed a lot of work for me. The important thing that I established very quickly was a deep connection for my product as the creator and as the person who was running this business. I had a deep, deep connection with my product and therefore with a brand that I was trying to establish, which meant that because I had this really deep connection with it, I could make decisions that I trusted. So branding and brand awareness are two different things, but they're related. So let's talk firstly about what branding is. The way I like to describe branding is the story behind your business told through the eyes of the product, as seen by the person who is your potential customer. Okay? How they're going to convert to becoming your partner, well, they are your partner, but your customer. The way they're going to convert to becoming your customer is if you can tell them a story that they want to listen to and continue listening to. It needs to have all the elements of what a story should be. It needs to be interesting and engaging and delicious and all of those things that your potential customers want to be drawn to. And so that's what brand awareness is. So your potential customers' awareness of your brand, what you're doing, where you're going, what you've got coming up, what you're about, this is all encapsulated in brand awareness. And your job as the person who connects the brand with the awareness that's out there of the brand is to figure out how to deliver the story of what your vision is for this product to the people who are your potential future customers. And so how do you develop that on little to zero budget, which is the fun part? Look, I would encourage you, even if you have a lot of money, I would encourage you, if you were starting out in a business, I would encourage you at the genesis of what you're doing, spend very little money on brand awareness. If you want to spend money on a great logo and spend money on marketing material, etc., okay. But with regards to brand awareness, I would encourage you, if you can, and if you're willing to kind of start off doing the hard yards yourself rather than paying some marketing company to get things out there for you, I would encourage you to not spend money on getting your brand out there. I would encourage you to do the work yourself. And why this is important is because it helps you understand who your customer is. It helps you know how to find them. It helps you know By know, I mean get clarity. It helps you get clarity on exactly who you're selling to and how you should be selling to them. So, for example, you want to figure out, first of all, who your customer is. In the beginning, be very clear that your definition of who your customer is may change. And it changes because of a number of factors. Either you have a brick and mortar shop, or you have a roasting brand that you are trying to get out there, or you're like me, you have a bottled beverage that you distribute without having a bricks and mortar location. Knowing who your customer is can change either over time or very rapidly, based often on things that are outside of your control. Being flexible and adaptable to learning who the kinds of people that are going to consume your product are going to be a very important element of your brand awareness. You cannot force people who don't want to buy your product to buy your product. It doesn't matter how much you want them to. If they're not willing to buy your product, what you need to do is go and find the people who are prepared to pay for your product. And if you simply can't find people that are willing to buy your product, you have to shift your product either to suit those people or continue to try and stretch far and wide to find the people. And that's where I'm at with my business. I have to keep finding ways. In all fairness to Elixir, we're the only ones in the world that make this product, and it's a longer learning process for us to understand who our customer is. The way that you, with little to no budget, go about doing this is by creating what's called an avatar. So your avatar is, and if you've attended any of our workshops or webinars recently, you will have heard about this. Your avatar is your customer, essentially, a very very detailed description of your customer or customers. So, for example, if you have a cafe that's in Beverly Hills and you are targeting all of your coffees are very expensive, okay? You might define your avatar as people who, so let's get really specific. You're targeting women between the ages of, 35 and 65 who shop on Rodeo Drive because you're on Rodeo Drive, and have lots and lots of money and very, very expensive taste. Okay, that's your avatar right there. You need to build your branding around telling a story that's appealing to those people, and then you need to go and figure out how to get your brand in front of those people. That is how you get them aware of your brand. For some people, that's going to be through social media. For other people, that's going to be in more indirect ways. So if you're using social media, go and find people who fit your avatar. Find other places they may shop that are equivalent to yours. They may not be your competitors. Let's say that the customers who you're trying to attract to your store also go to this very exclusive bakery down the street. Go to that person's or that business's Instagram and go and start connecting with the people who engage with their products. That is a $0 way for you to start getting your brand in front of other people who are your potential customers. The thing is, if you don't have the money to pay a marketing company to get your brand out there, you have to be prepared to invest the time in making these things happen. So if your budget is small, your financial budget is small, your time budget needs to be significantly increased in order to compensate for that with regards to brand awareness. We at Elixir used a couple of other things to help us along the way of getting our avatar to pay attention to what we were selling. So for me, it was very important that we didn't engage press. It was very important to me that we didn't have a growth curve that had a massive hump in the beginning and a big drop when like all the shiny press wore off, and then we had to build again. So I tried to cut the hump off, and we refused to speak to press, which pissed a fuck ton of people off because there were hundreds and hundreds of articles that were written about Elixir in the first couple of months, even the first year that we were in business, and people were pissed that we wouldn't do interviews. The reason I didn't want to do interviews is because I wanted to stay focused on growing a business. And, time will tell whether that was the right decision or the shitty decision. Right now, I think it was the right thing to do because we're still in business. We're coming into our 4th year. We're still in business, and we didn't have to fire a ton of people for the reason that we had a huge uprising in the beginning and a massive crash, and then we had to build again. But having decided that we were going to not do press meant that we were seen as quite mysterious because we weren't feeding this machine. And because we were mysterious, that was very much aligned with the product. And you could see that everything, like the storytelling across everything we were doing, was aligned. And that made it very enticing for people, got people very curious. We had to pay $0 for that. We paid nothing because we were very, very on brand for what we were trying to achieve. Your task is to figure out what your brand story is and how do you tell that story to your avatars. Then go and find your avatars. And it takes time to find them. But better that you go looking for how to find them than a marketing company to do that, because once you stop paying that marketing company, you stop your growth. You stop the potentiality for growth. And then if you want to go for another growth curve, you've got to rehire another marketing company. But you taking the time to go and figure out how to find your potential customers and increase your brand awareness on your own means that you are more invested in the growth of your company and steering the ship better to make that happen. And you're more in control of that. You're no longer at the mercy of an expensive marketing company to make that happen. So even if you have extra money in the bank to spend on marketing, I would say hold off and spend the time doing it instead. Save the money, keep it in the bank for future wages, and use it to fund growth in other ways. That's my 2 cents on developing brand awareness on a budget. I could talk for hours and hours on this. This is also a lot of the stuff that we cover in our workshops, our webinars, when we do Map It Forward webinars and workshops. So I encourage you to check out our events page, mapitforward.org/events. We just announced our next one. If you're a coffee professional and you are looking at having a long-term career in the coffee industry that's focused on working for somebody else, not opening up your own business in the next couple of years, or even if you are thinking about opening up your next business and you have no idea how you're going to fund that, come to this webinar. I promise you will leave knowing all the questions you need to ask yourself about how to have the most incredible career in coffee moving forward that's super fulfilling, well paid, and just makes you feel like you're doing your personal life purpose. On that note, peace, love, and peanut butter, friends. Have an amazing rest of your day.